everybody. My name is Mars, you can call me MG if you would like, and welcome to part 2 of my Summer Scare readathon vlog. If you don't know what Summer Scare is, it is a readathon hosted by my dear friend Jess over at the Hex Library. She's going to be linked down below, as well as part 1 of my vlog, where I read the first 4.5 books that I'll be reading for this readathon. The second vlog will cover the other 4.5 books, the half book for each being, a short story collection where I'm reading one every single morning for the duration of the readathon. Technically longer than the duration of the readathon because there are 12 stories and there are only 10 days for the readathon, but also the timeline is only a suggestion, as Jess says in her announcement video. You can kind of just do whatever you want. So, I have already read 4 books. I will not spoil what they were or what I thought of them in case you have not seen part 1, so definitely check that out first. It is quite late in the evening right now, and I already updated my last vlog towards the end, what I thought of this morning's short story from the short story collection, so you won't get another one of those updates until tomorrow, but what I do want to tell you is the first full book that I'll be reading in this vlog, because I plan on starting it tonight. And I have my last 4 books in a stack, and I honestly didn't know what I wanted to read. I kind of want to read each of them equally, like none of them really stand out in the moment more than others, so I asked my boyfriend to pick one for me, and he said whichever one is the third from the top. So, the book that was the third from the top in the stack was Hollow by Selena Myers. I am just now noticing it says TikTok sensation. I don't know if that means the author is, like, famous on TikTok, or if, like, similar to Assistant to the Villain, if the story originated in TikTok videos. Who knows? This is a really cool edition. It's got, like, the blood dripping down. I found this in a little free library, as I do most of my books, and it's not really something I would normally pick up, but it sounded interesting enough, and it fits the prompt that I needed it to fit. The prompt for this book is a book that features a creature or monster, and this is, if you couldn't tell, a vampire book. It follows, what was her name? Mia. Our main character, Mia, is in her early 20s, and she kind of feels like she's going nowhere in life. When she was younger, she was kind of a little bit of a childhood star because she could talk to ghosts, but she can no longer do that. She is working at this bookstore that she kind of thought would just be a temporary job, but she doesn't really have anything else to move on to, so she's still there. And then one day, she gets into a car accident, and when she wakes up, she is a vampire. And there are 2 rival vampire clans, the Bellamy's and the Suttons, and both of them want to have her join their clan for some reason that's not revealed in the blurb, but it follows her learning how to be a vampire, learning about this lore and history, and these 2 clans that want her to join them, and she has to choose one of them for some reason. I don't know. But we'll find out. It is quite short. Let's actually see how many pages this is. Oh, that's the epilogue. Does this go right up to the end? Yeah, there's literally nothing past the end of the book in this. There's no, like, acknowledgments or anything, but this is 292 pages, so just under 300. I think I can honestly get through this pretty quickly, so I will see you at some point in the future, either with a midpoint update or maybe just when I get to the end, since it is so short. We will see. So it has been a few hours, and bad news, but I am DNFing Hollow. I read exactly 50 pages, and I am so incredibly bored. The first part is a 30-page prologue that takes place in the early 1700s, and we essentially learn about this town that is dealing with, like, first a drought, and then a very harsh winter, and a priest who loses his mind and preaches about the end of days, and then this whole town decides to pack up and head to a different settlement to see if maybe combining forces will help them or something like that, except they get the plague and everyone dies, and then this couple that we're following, I'm pretty sure it's them turning into vampires. It doesn't explicitly say that, but they drink a mysterious red liquid given to them by a woman who's not afraid of the plague, and then her son stabs them through the heart, and that's where it ends. And then the two characters, the husband and wife, we do get the names of the two clans. The man's last name is Bellamy, and the woman's is Sutton, so I'm assuming they're the progenitors of these two rival clans, which I am a little bit intrigued by that, how they're like a married couple, but their names are the rival clans. That's interesting, but not enough to keep me going on this. Wow, it's really warm in here. I have to speed this up. Then I read chapter 1, which is 20 pages, and it is 15 pages of info dump about our main character Mia's childhood and random little snippets of stories, and then it is a page and a half of her looking at herself in the mirror, literally it's not her describing herself because it is in the third person, but essentially cataloging her every feature and talking about how she doesn't hate her looks the way all the other girls at her school did in high school, and how she actually appreciates having stretch marks and how they show that you've lived a life. And very I don't like the phrase pick me, but it kind of feels like that. Then it's followed by another page long description of her wardrobe and her fashion choices because that's so important. And then she goes downstairs to her younger sister having breakfast, and her younger sister is in law school and hasn't slept in a couple of days, and Mia is like, you're skipping class today, you're skipping your law lecture and going to sleep, and then tonight you're going out clubbing because you need to have fun, and you're gonna get drunk, and you're gonna come home at 2 a.m. absolutely wasted because I said so. And then the chapter ends. So, yeah, I just don't really care. This really reads to me like a story I would have read when I was 14 and obsessed with Wattpad. Genuinely. And I don't want those vibes right now. I don't want those vibes most of the time. Sometimes I'll read something that feels a little bit trashy, but I just can't be bothered. I was not vibing with this at all, so I'm gonna DNF it and just move on with my life. So that is that. I don't feel the need to find a different book to replace the one that this one was fulfilling for the readathon. I'm okay with checking off the prompt with a book I've DNF'd because there's no rules, and so it's fine, and I say it's fine, so I'm doing it that way. So it's still a prompt checked off. I don't know which one I'm gonna go for next. I don't know which book I want to read. I have 3 left. One is a thriller, which is probably one of my least favorite genres, but it is from an author I've read from before, and the book that I read by him I didn't love, but I could tell why it was such a popular book and why this author is held in such high regard for the genre. So I'm intrigued by that, even though I don't think I'm going to really enjoy it all that much. I have my middle grade book, which I'm very excited for, but I don't know if I want to read a middle grade right now. I'm still like craving that really dark horror, so I don't think I'm gonna get it, but definitely not in the middle grade book. The middle grade book is more fantastical, the slight spookiness to it. My third and final option is true crime, which is also not my vibe. So I don't know who I was when I picked out the books for this challenge, this readathon, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I've already switched out one book in the last vlog, and if you watched that vlog, which I'm assuming you did, you know how that went. But we're sticking to these. I will decide tomorrow which one I'm gonna pick up next, and I will see you then. Hello friends, it is Wednesday afternoon and I'm here with a little update. So my short story of the day was actually quite long. It was like 35 pages, and it was The Repairer of Reputations by Robert W. Chambers. And I'm gonna be real honest with you guys here. I kind of was not fully paying attention while reading it. I did have the audiobook going and I was like following along, but I've got a bit of a headache after work. I went in to do cakes today, so it was a very chill shift and a very short shift. I was only there for like 4 hours. But I got home and my head started hurting, so I wasn't fully paying attention. It was an okay story. I don't know. This is one of the ones that's part of his King in Yellow collection, which is something that I've been intrigued by for a long time. So the fact that I wasn't fully gripped by the story reading it, that's a little worrying. But I do plan on reading The King in Yellow at some point in time, and I am assuming that this short story is going to be in with the other ones in the collection, so I can reread it then and maybe give it a little bit more of the attention that it deserves. But, yeah, for now, it was just alright. I have decided that the next full novel I will be reading is, in fact, for the middle grade prompt, and I will be reading Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega. I know that Jess absolutely adores this book and this series, so I am looking forward to it. I trust her opinion on most books. I've also read from Claribel A. Ortega before. I read Ghost Squad, I think that's what it's called, and it was really fun, really cute, really spooky. So I think I read it last October. I think it was for like a spooky mid-grade reading vlog, something like that. So I'm very excited to check this one out, and I hope I enjoy it. This is about a girl who is from this community of witches, and all of the witches of her age, or sorry, witchlings of her age, are getting sorted into covens, except she does not end up in one of the main covens. She and two other girls are known as spares, and essentially they're kind of just people who don't fit into the covens, and their magic is seen as lesser, things like that, kind of looked down upon, except they don't even like fully complete the ritual to become spares, so they are at risk of losing their powers completely. And in order to avoid that, they undertake the impossible task of defeating this night beast that is around. And if they succeed, then they become full-fledged witches. If they don't, it says that the last group of kids who attempted this impossible task got turned permanently into frogs. So, interesting. I'm just now noticing like the beast in the background of this. I've kind of only focused on the three girls, but like you can see the eyes there. That's pretty cool. I like this cover a lot. I think it's really cute, and I like the colors on it especially. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and hopefully I really enjoy it, because I have not had the best track record with my picks for the Summer Scare Readathon thus far, and I could use a win. Hello, friends. It is still Wednesday. I'm just in my pajamas now. It is almost 8 p.m., and I've got an update on Witchlings. This is the naked hardcover. It's very beat up. I did get this out of the Little Free Library, and it's quite scuffed, got a couple of stains. It does have this really cute, is it debossing when it like is in, and then emboss is when it sticks out, I think, but it just says Witchlings and has a bunch of like little stars and sparkles, and that's really adorable. I like it a lot. But I am just about 100 pages in. I've read 8 chapters, and I'm loving this. This is so fun, and I know I've been saying this whole readathon that I want something really scary, but also, like, this is fun too. This is the complete opposite vibe of what I thought I wanted, but I'm having a great time with it. I love the characters. So we have our main character, Seven, and she is working with these 2 other spares to try and keep their magic from completely disappearing. Valley and Thorn are their names. Valley is kind of like a mean girl. She's an outcast, but also kind of a bully. But she definitely has more depth to her than that. Thorn is more quiet, keeps to herself. She's new to town. She's got a bit of a tragic backstory that we have just learned about. But I really like the 3 of them and how they are learning to trust each other and accept that they can't really do anything on their own, but together they can accomplish more than they thought. So that's really fun. The like world building, I definitely have some nitpicky issues with it, but again, it's a middle grade. I'm not going to take this too seriously, but I'm having a really fun time. I actually don't know how many pages this is. This is 334, so I've got just under 250 pages to go, and I feel like I'm going to fly through it. But I am going to do my journaling for the night, I think, and then get in bed and get back to reading and just keep chugging along because I'm having a really fun time. There's also these really cool chapter header artworks. So, like, this one is some mushrooms, and then there's also flowers. There's one that's a frog that I really, really like, or I think it's a toad. This one is a hat and some potions. Where is the toad? There he is. Look at that fellow. I'm obsessed. So yeah, this book is a lot of fun, and I'm having a great time, and I'm glad to be reading it, so. A very loud car going by. Like I said, I'm gonna do some journaling and then get in bed and continue going with this, and I will see you probably with an update tomorrow. I am working again tomorrow. I have another cake shift, and part of me is like, I should wake up early, get to work early, get everything done before other people get it, because when you're doing cakes, you can go in any time of day. The opening manager isn't going to be in until 11 a.m. I don't know if anyone's coming in to manufacture, but they also, like the cakes, come in whenever they have time. But I feel like I move faster at work and get things done quicker when I get there early before other people arrive. So I might do that and then have the entire rest of the day to myself, and then I'm off on Friday. Very excited for that. I don't know. We'll see. I might set my alarm early and wake up and see how I feel about going in. I did it this morning. Well, actually, the alarm didn't even go off. I just woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, and I thought about going up into work early, and I was like, actually, I want a couple more hours of sleep. So I did that, and I went back to sleep until 8 o'clock. But tomorrow, I might go in early. I don't know. This has nothing to do with this vlog or this readathon or whatever. I'm just thinking out loud now, but yeah, I will see you guys at some point after I've done other things and read more of Witchlings. Okay, friends, it is Thursday night. It is about 6:45, and I am finally here with today's reading update. This morning I got up early and went to work. I got there at like 7:30 and was able to get home before noon because I got there early and was able to get all my stuff done. And it was a day. There was so much going on, including a lady giving out produce because her garden produced too much, so I got some stuff on my way home from work. So I got to have some nice fresh vegetables. I was also dealing with there were two delivery trucks at the same time, and one left first, and then the guy from the other one came in and said, hey, the other delivery driver dropped this, and then put a whole onion on the table in front of me and then left. Bizarre day. That's just like scratching the surface of what I've been through, but that is neither here nor there. What is here is reading. So, the short story from Shadows of Carcosa. Today I read The House of Sounds by M.P. Shield. I think it's Shield. It's basically Shield without a D, so that's why I feel like it's pronounced Shield, but I really don't know. This was longer. I have the feeling that they're just going to keep getting longer and longer as they go, because we're now more than halfway through the number of stories, but not even halfway through the pages. So that's interesting. But this was one of my favorites so far, I think. It was just so atmospheric, And I feel like the setting was so grounding, even if I don't think I fully understood the story, but that's fine. I really enjoyed the vibes going on. Basically, it kind of feels like a little bit the fall of the House of Usher because we have this narrator and his friend, and he goes to. There's like a bunch of stuff that happens in the beginning with like the narrator's mental patients, I think, and then his friend tells him a story of this thing that happened on his home island, and then they don't see each other for like 12 years until he gets a letter from his friend inviting him to his home island, and then they go and they're at his friend's manor, and there's all this stuff happening, and his friend's mom had died, so they have a funeral, and there are these like sounds happening, and the narrator finds himself like hearing even like the tiniest sounds from all the way across the house, and some weird stuff. I don't know fully the plot, but the vibes were great and I had a good time. So that was that. I also really enjoyed the person whose video I watched. Like, it was just this guy reading out loud, and he had like hundreds of videos on his channel of him reading like various classic short stories out loud, and I just really dug that vibe. I think he did a really good job. So that was the short story of the day. Done. Then I finished Witchlings last night. I got just past halfway in the book, and then I finished it today, and this was phenomenal. I don't think it's quite an S rank book, but I think it's higher than an A rank, so I don't know where I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna ruminate a little more, because it wasn't 100% perfect. There were definitely some things, especially with like world building, that I didn't quite get, and I feel like could have been done a little bit differently. But at the same time, I had a fantastic time reading this. It did make me emotional in the end. I'm so excited to continue on with the series. Definitely the highlight of this vlog and this readathon so far. So yeah, very, very glad that I read this, and I I just had a good time. There's not really much else to be saying about it. That means, though, I get to move on and read the next book for this, the penultimate book, if we are excluding the short story collection that I still have to finish. The penultimate novel of this vlog and this readathon, and this is for my horror slash thriller box, and I have gone with a thriller, which is crazy because thrillers honestly probably one of my least favorite genres. I do not have a great track record with thrillers that I have read, but I feel like this leans more on the like mystery side of thrillers than like a straight up thriller. So I'm hoping that is a good sign. And also I've read from this author before, and the book that I read I didn't love, but I could see why people who are more into the genre did love it. So, without any further ado, the book I'll be reading next is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. I love this cover. I think it is stunning. I love the colors of it. I love the big central focus of the moon, but how it's like broken up with the branch. I think this cover design is 10 out of 10 perfection. But this is a book about a black sheriff in a predominantly white southern town. I think he's like the town's first black sheriff. Yeah, Titus Crown is the first black sheriff in the history of Caron County, Virginia, and he used to be an FBI agent, but now he's back in his hometown, becoming the sheriff, and suddenly there's a serial killer. I'm intrigued, so I will be starting this tonight. It is, sliding out of the dust jacket is what it is. As for the length of the book, oh my god, this is such a massive hardcover. There are 31 chapters, apparently. 338 pages. So, literally only 2 pages longer than Witchlings. That's really funny. Yeah, I'll be starting this tonight, and I will give you an update at some point tomorrow. Good morning, friends. It is Saturday, which means I have 2 days worth of reading to update you on. I didn't update you yesterday because I had kind of a slow morning, and then in the afternoon, my friend came over to hem a dress for me. I'm a bridesmaid in someone's wedding, and the dress that I ordered is way too long because I am quite short. So my friend came over to hem it, and then after that, I went to hang out at a different friend's place and was there for many, many hours and did not come home until like almost 11 p.m. So, didn't update you. I did, however, read my short story yesterday and my short story today in Shadows of Carcosa. The short story I read yesterday was The White People by Arthur Machen is how the audiobook portion thing that I listened to pronounced it. It's it's spelled Machen. So Machen, I guess, makes sense, or Machen, I really don't know. But that story was interesting. It is told in 3 parts. The first part is, okay, that's a motorcycle of some sort going by? I don't know. The first part is 2 friends debating the definition of like sin and the difference between sinners and saints and that sort of thing. And then the second part is the bulk of the story, and it is essentially what this girl wrote about in her diary that the one friend gives to the other friend, and she goes on some wacky adventures with creatures that feel very fey to me. Like, it feels like she just stumbled into some fair folk kind of thing. And then the third part is the 2 friends again discussing the book and what happened to that girl after she wrote this diary. So that one was good. The one that I read this morning was The Willows by Algernon Blackwood, which, first of all, Algernon Blackwood is a sick-ass name. Obsessed. This is a story that I've actually read before, though, and I reference it in my own book, which you can see just over here at the edge of the frame. Revelry in the Dark is my debut novel that I published 3 years ago at this point. That feels really weird. But I do reference The Willows in that, so it was fun to reread that. This is a story of 2 men who are, like, on a boat down the Danube. Lots of loud cars going by right now. I'm so sorry. They're going down the Danube, and they stop on this island to rest for a little bit. And the willows of the title appear to be like sentient beings almost, and it kind of creeps them out. But things happen. They end up staying on this island for a few days, and scary things progress. I don't want to go into too many details, but it's a really good short story, and I highly recommend it. But that is that. I only have 3 more short stories to go. I've got a Henry James, which I have read, The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, so excited to read more. There's one by Walter de la Mare, never heard of him, and then the last one is an H.P. Lovecraft, because of course you can't have a cosmic horror collection without H.P. Lovecraft. So, yeah, that's the short story collection and how it's going. I'm definitely enjoying these later stories more than the earlier ones, I think. In, like, not like each one gets better and better, but in general, the ones that I've been reading lately have been more impressive to me than the earlier ones. But I'm still overall pretty satisfied with this collection. My book that I've been reading is All the Sinners Bleed. I don't have the cover on it because I don't read books with the dust jacket on. I find that gets in the way, and I am just about 100 pages in. I am enjoying this more than I thought I would. I don't really like books about cops. Who is leaning on their horn? I don't know if you heard that. It sounded like it might have been a little bit too far away for the microphone to pick up, but I heard it, and it was someone literally just going meh on their horn for absolutely no reason. I mean, there might have been a reason, I don't know, but it was annoying. Anyway, I don't really like books about small town cops. Like, they don't interest me. I do, however, like FBI type stuff, like Criminal Minds is a show that I watched a lot growing up, and I do enjoy that sort of procedural vibe. This feels kind of in the middle. So it follows Titus, who used to work for the FBI. Now he is the county sheriff, and on the 1-year anniversary of him being elected to be sheriff, there is an incident at a school that ends with some people dead, and looking into both the victim and the perpetrator, Titus begins to uncover some very heinous crimes and realizes that there's someone else involved that he needs to find before more bad things happen. So I am enjoying it. We do have hints about some secret that Titus is hiding, so I'm very curious as to what that is. We also have had hints about a case that he worked when he was an agent in the FBI, and that's pretty cool. I do like hearing about that sort of thing. So yeah, it does feel more mystery than thriller, but the thriller vibe is definitely still there. So I am happy that I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. There is still like 250-ish pages to go, so it could change, but as for right now, I'm liking it. I do have 4-ish hours until I have to get ready for work, so I'm going to try and get a lot of reading done. I might update you before work. I might not. If I don't, then the next time we'll see you will probably be tomorrow night, which is technically the end of the readathon, but like I said, I'm taking a couple extra days. But I do have work from 5 to 11 tonight, and 2 people have already called out. So we're going to be short-staffed on a Saturday night. Again, this happened to me last weekend. But, yeah, gonna deal with that. Probably won't get home till super late. And then tomorrow morning, I have a haircut appointment in the city. Probably gonna hang out there, get some lunch or something before coming back. And then I will read my short story, read more of this, and see how it's going. I might be able to finish this tomorrow, which would be great because that would leave me 2 days to read my last book for the readathon, and I would like to be able to fit all of these books in the time frame that I originally set, but we will see. For now, like I said, I'm going to do some more reading in this. Well, actually, I think I'm going to eat lunch first, and then I'm going to do more reading, and I will see you either later today or tomorrow with an update. Hello, friends. We're going to ignore the fact my background has completely changed behind me. That has nothing to do with this. I do really hate how the big light has a giant glare on my poster, though, because it's a really pretty poster, and I want you guys to see it. Anyway, nothing to do with this video. I have a reading update to make. That's a bus going by. It is Sunday at like 9 p.m. I had a very long day. I went and I got my hair cut. I can show you. Not that I think I've had my hair down at all in this video or the previous vlog, but it's just a little trim, and wow, my hair's still very curly at the ends. It was mostly just a trim, and then talked a little bit about how to enhance my natural curly hair, because that's something that I've kind of always wanted to do, but I've never really known how to go about doing that. But again, has nothing to do with this vlog. I was in the city and then came home, did all this, and then I've just been reading for pretty much the entire rest of the day. So first up, the short story from the collection that I'm reading. It was The Jolly Corner? Yeah, The Jolly Corner by Henry James. It feels like I read this so long ago because it has been many, many hours. I wasn't a huge fan. The story itself was interesting enough, but I feel like Henry James is a very verbose writer, and that's not really my vibe. I say being someone who writes very long, sometimes convoluted sentences, but not to this extent. This was just excessive. So yeah, it was fine, but I didn't really enjoy it as much as some of the others in this collection. Tomorrow I get to read Seaton's Aunt by Walter de la Mare. No idea. We'll see how that goes. The biggest thing is that I have in fact finished reading All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby, and I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. For the most part, when the killer was revealed, I was a little bit confused because I was like, who even is this guy? And I went on Goodreads and looked at some things, and other people had a similar sentiment. Like, I get it, but also kind of a letdown in the way things wrapped up in that regard. But I did still really enjoy this more than I thought I would. What other books does S.A. Cosby have? Razorblade Tears is the one that I've read, and I didn't like it, but I could see why people who are very into the genre did like it. And there's Blacktop Wasteland and My Darkest Prayer. I don't know if I'll go out of my way to read his other books, but if I stumble upon them in little free libraries like this one, I will probably pick them up because I think S.A. Cosby is a very talented writer, and I think he's very skillful in the way he constructs his stories. So, yeah, I consider this to be a win. And that brings us to our last book for the vlog and last book for the readathon. This one is my book for the out of comfort zone prompt. I don't know why I saved this one for last, but I did, and I am a little bit nervous because it is out of my comfort zone. But the book I'll be reading is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I have had an interest in this for a long, long time. I've kind of always thought that, like, oh, one day I'll want to read that. And I guess today is that day. Well, not today, probably, because it's quite late. But I'm finally going to be getting to this. This is out of my comfort zone because I don't really read true crime. And this is like true crime, but also a little bit embellished. It's not like 100% factual, but this is kind of like the progenitor of the true crime genre, and I'm interested in reading it. Oh, I just realized the eyes at the top. That's creepy. I don't like that at all. The last true crime book I read was... I truly can't think of what it's called. It's the one about the Golden State Killer. And it's by Michelle McNamara. Was that her name? The journalist? Yeah, I'm completely blanking on what that book is called. It's got like a black and white cover, but like with bright yellow writing on it. And I read that a few years ago at this point, found it very interesting, but again, true crime, not really my thing. One thing that did really freak me out about that is in the beginning of the book, there's kind of like a little list of all of the victims of the Golden State Killer, at least all the victims that they had officially attributed to him. Of course, there could have been more. And two of the victims had the same last name as me, which I wasn't expecting, and I was like not expecting to see my last name in this book, especially not as a victim of this murderer. Wild. But yeah, true crime. Not totally my vibe, but this is still something I'm interested in. It's quite old. What year are you from? 1965. That's the year my dad was born. So this is quite an old book, but it's one that, you know, you hear a lot about. And I do have the audiobook checked out from my library on Libby, so I'll be listening to that as I read along. It is 14 hours. I usually listen at 2 times speed, but if I'm reading like along physically, I might be able to go faster than that, so we're looking at least 7 hours. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I don't know. Can I do that in 2 days by the time I finish oh my god, I have the hiccups. The short story collection, because I only have 2 stories left in that. Maybe. It's possible. I don't know if it's probable, though, because I do have work. Tomorrow, Monday, I have the opening shift 11 to 5, and Tuesday I also have the 11 to 5 opening shift, but there's a work meeting. It's an all-staff meeting from 9 to 11 a.m., so I'll be at my job from 9 to 5. It'll be tiring, but I will have the evenings free to read, so I might get through this in the next 2 days. I might not. Either way, it is what it is. We will carry out this vlog until I finish that and the short story collection. And I will just see when I've got an update on one of them. Hello friends, this is insane lighting, but I did not want to turn the big light on, and for some reason there's a sunbeam directly right here. I don't know. I am waiting for my dinner to cool down, so I figured I'd take a minute to update you. It is Tuesday night, so I think I've got 2 short stories to update you on in Shadows of Carcosa. The last 2 So I read Seaton's Aunt? Yeah. And that one, the sunbeam is really bugging me. I don't know. That one was okay. It had a lot of potential, but didn't really go anywhere. It's about this guy who isn't really friends with this other person at his school, but kind of is like the only person to be nice to him. And so he goes over to that friend's house for some holiday and meets his aunt, and the aunt's a really creepy lady. And then they go back, school ends, they don't really talk to each other, and then years later they randomly come across each other. Guy goes back, aunt's still really creepy. Some more years pass. He is like randomly thinking about this person, and he goes and some weird things happen in that house, and then he's leaving, and the person at like the butcher down the street or whatever is like, oh, that guy's been dead for a while. And that's really it. So it was fine. It wasn't great. Then the final story in this collection is from H.P. Lovecraft, because you cannot have a cosmic horror collection without H.P. Lovecraft. And it was The Color something something? The Color Out of Space. And this one I did really like, actually. I really enjoyed how it was actual cosmic horror, because at the end of this collection, I can confidently say that I don't believe most of these were cosmic horror. There were a lot of psychological horror, there were some paranormal horror stories, but hair on my tongue, gross. But very few of them, in my opinion, were actually cosmic horror. But The Color Out of Space definitely was. It's about this like meteorite thing that crashes on this farm, and it starts like doing weird things to the plants and the animals and the people on that farm. I thought it was really interesting, and I liked that, and I thought it was a nice conclusion to the story. Overall, I think I liked more than I disliked from this collection. My favorites, I would say, probably The Damned Thing. I thought that one was very good, very short and like well written. Um, what else? The House of Sounds I really enjoyed, and The Willows and The Color Out of Space, I would say, were my favorites. So yeah, glad that I picked this up. And now I plan on reading soon, maybe, I don't know. I hope to get to it soon, but maybe I won't be able to. We'll just have to wait and see. A collection that I have of just H.P. Lovecraft. Wait for this loud car to go by. Don't know why that was so loud. But I wanted to read this before I read that one. I don't know why. It just made sense to me. But the H.P. Lovecraft collection I have actually doesn't have The Color Out of Space in it, so that's interesting. I won't be repeating that. But that's this book done, which means I only have one book left for this entire readathon, and I will not be finishing it tonight, but I will give you an update. So we've got In Cold Blood. I read part 1. A lot of loud cars, which is called The Last to See Them Alive, and it is, how many pages did I read? 74 pages I read last night, listening to the audiobook while reading physically, and this first section details the Clutter, is that their last name? Yeah, the Clutter family, and the things they were doing on their last day alive before they got brutally murdered, and it also cuts back and forth between each of those members and the killers on their way to do this killing. It doesn't show the actual killing on page, but it does show a little bit of the aftermath. So it's been interesting. I'm not like fully hooked yet. I feel like it is a little too like zoomed out. You know, like we do follow each of these people very intimately, but I think the fact that we're following everyone gives this story a much bigger scope than I personally would like, but also, like, this is based on a real thing, like, you kind of have to follow all of the people in it. Um, there are also some things, maybe this is just the English major in me, but, like, I'm fine with him making up dialogue and stuff. Like, I know this is, like, a creative writing, type of thing based on a true story. Like, it's not 100% factual, and like if he wants to make up some dialogue between some characters that we know met but we don't know exactly what they said, that's fine. I don't care. But there are times where he quotes like whole passages of like what people have said, but he doesn't say where he got those big long quote passages. Oh my god, my computer's making loud noise and my nose is really itchy. I gotta wrap this up. So that's really dumb. I really wish there were like citations, some footnotes maybe. There might be in the back some like resources. No, it's just a list of other books by Truman Capote, and that's it. Okay, so I don't know what this man's resources are, and that really bothers me. But I will definitely be reading more of this after dinner, not all of it. So I am going past my self-set deadline. But I'll get it done this week, and I will maybe update you further on in the book, or maybe I'll just come back and let you know when I'm finished. Good morning, friends. It is just before 9 a.m. on Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. And I have an update on In Cold Blood, and that update is that I'm DNFing it. I read maybe 12 pages last night, and I'm now a quarter of the way through the book, and I really just don't care, which feels a little bit heartless to say because this is like real people who were murdered, but I don't know. Like, this book was praised so much for the writing style, and it's just not a writing style that I'm vibing with. So, I am gonna give it a pass and put it back in the Little Free Library ecosystem for someone else who will probably enjoy it more than me. And that brings this to a close. A very anticlimactic close, but a close nonetheless. So, thank you so much for watching the second half of my Summer Scare Readathon vlog. If for some reason you watched this one and not the first one, maybe go back and check that one out and see what other books I've read. But yeah, thank you so much to Jess for hosting this readathon yet again, even though I am several days late in finishing it out. It's fine. The time frame is just a suggestion anyway. Thank you so much for watching. I think I already said that. I'll see you in another video sometime in the future. See ya!